Hey everybody, this is Molly K. Hope everybody is doing well. Got a story that I want to bring to you from Reuters. It came out on the 17th, and it is about the double cross that's happening. So I've been sharing with y'all how the EU, the UK, and America is breaking up. They're breaking up for multiple reasons. One, because we is broke, where all of the white nations are broke. As Africa wakes up and as South America wakes up and everybody decides, hey, we want to participate in this multipolar new world and have more say in how things go, we're going to go over here with the BRICS peoples. We're going to go over here with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and all of the member countries and associate member countries. Because it's, power in numbers, number one. Number two, combined, they have more people and more resources than the West. And so, that is advantageous for, all these other nations who are wanting to break up with America. Like, now is the time. The third thing is, um, there is no reason to fear anymore. It's kind of like with a bully. Once one person stands up to the bully, then everybody else is fine, everybody else is okay, and they're like, yeah, I can do this now. I can see myself standing up to the bully. So that's kind of where we are right now. So it's like people are figuring out that America is losing its power or it's lost its power. And everything that they've tried to do has not worked. So now you got this new leader in, and he's screaming tariffs, don't do business with us, we're gonna do this to you. Like, nobody's really caring. It's like we're just, screaming out loud, but not really getting the reaction that we expect or anticipate because everybody knows the emperor has no clothes and the emperor is broke. So people are just politely allowing the mentally dysfunctional person to scream and say and do whatever, but it's all a show. Lastly, the world knows that white people can't live without colonizing, subjugating, dominating, and exterminating black and brown people's stuff, period. That's across the planet. Africa knows it. South Africa knows it. The Caribbean nations, they know it. Everybody knows it. And so that's why they always try to keep a hand in everything that's going on with the black and brown nations. So what's happening is there's a shift in global priorities and a shift in the global dominance. It's gone from a unipolar where it was just America and white nations to multipolar, where it's, you know, Russia, China, um, South Africa, Brazil. So it's more like a black and brown coalition. If just for imagery's sake, that's what's happening now. And America don't know what to do. White people don't know what to do. Um, so we know what they're going to do. They're going to lash out. They're going to do everything that they can to keep us subjugated and to dominate us. When I say us, I mean global South, because I consider black people inside of America and in the Western Hemisphere a part of the global South because we are subjugated and dominated and exterminated by these same governance structures. And so because we don't have power, nobody has weapons, nobody we here in America don't even have military police. We don't have anything. Everything we have is based off of Western stuff. But like even on the continent of Africa, they don't have militaries and weapons and things to fight off the West. And so that's why partnering with Russia and China is so appealing to these other nations. And they don't want to, for right now anyway, appear to want to put bases on their continent, so on and so forth. Although I don't necessarily believe that about China. I believe China is becoming the new America. Um, I just don't believe that they are just going to be content with multipolar and not having extra arms and legs. That's just not typically how they roll. Um, they took a playbook from the West, and I think they're going to use that to be dominant and remain dominant for a spell to the end of the age, anyway. So the people on the continent should be careful. But at the end of the day, I think all of this is a prelude to preparing the way for us to come back to the continent and rule the planet like the Most High intended for those of us who make it past the sword. So, anyway, let me get into this story. China lost EU ties as Trump's peace plan with Russia chills continent. So, Trump has double crossed the EU and is going to has talked with Russia in order to end the war in Ukraine. The EU wants NATO to remain in Ukraine, and because they are all NATO members. And America is pulling money from everything. And so they don't have the support that they once had without America. Because, of course, America creates all this stuff so they can do the little double cross stuff. But now they're, withdrawing from it. So they don't have the European Union, they don't have the financial support and they don't have the military might. So now everybody's scrambling to try to figure out how they're going to maintain their own nations and protect their own nations, and they know that they can no longer rely on America. And so that's what's happening. So as America pulls away from the EU, China is scooching up and taking its place. And so China is kind of like, touting, hey, y'all pulled out, but I got them. I got your girl, that type of thing. So we just need to pay attention to these new alignments because they will also have an impact on us. So it says China seeks closer EU ties amid U.S. EU strain. Trump calls Putin. Trump's call with Putin. Ukraine peace plan sidelined EU, which means, basically they didn't know what was happening and they were excluded from the process. That's at their back door, so they're concerned that um, they don't want Russia to have the territories that they have conquered, and then they don't want NATO to be put out because that means Russia will be closer to them. So they done all this stuff on America's behalf, and now they're like left um, out there to dry, and they are afraid because they don't have anything to match Russia's military might. Beijing wants to be seen as a stabilizing factor, which again, if Africa is kicking out the European Union and letting China come in, that means now the connect is going to be China. So instead of them having a direct connection to the continent, they'll have a third party connection because you know um, they can't. A lot of the nations on the continent of Africa are cutting off their access to resources. They're not allowing them to export resources. They're not allowing their militaries to stay there. They're not accepting their uh, genetically modified products to grow, so they have to be dependent on them. They're switching up stuff. So it's a change for Western or white nations, and they gotta have something to sustain them because they can't survive without black and brown people. I keep trying to tell y'all that. Their whole existence relies on other people's stuff. They have set up a system of exploitation. And it's like everybody's waking up at the same time, everybody's making these strategic alliances, and it's really catching white folks off guard. So they are sounding the alarm because they can sense something is going on, even though they may not be able to put it into words fully. They understand that at the end of the day, um, the writing is on the wall. Their time is up. Nobody wants to deal with them anymore. Nobody wants to sell to them. Nobody wants to partner with them because they don't keep their word. They are destructive. They are thieves. They are cheaters. And I'm not saying this about any one particular person personally, but as a nation of people, that's their history on the planet. And you can't live with them, so nobody wants them around. It's impossible to live amongst them. And then you help them, they take what you do and steal it and rewrite history and say they did it. So it's crazy. But in any event, these things are happening, and China is moving in to fill in the gap of America. And I don't know how that relationship is going to work, but I'm imagining they're not going to dominate China because they don't have the resources, they don't have the manpower, they don't have the military. Um, they just don't. So, China's foreign ministry said on Monday that healthy and stable China EU relations are needed now more than ever after a push by the United States to initiate Ukraine peace talks with Russia without Europe threatened to rock transatlantic ties. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance's criticism of Europe over censorship of free speech and failing to control immigration at the Munich Security Conference on Friday did little to soothe ties with the EU leaders in attendance. In contrast, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi used his address to say that all stakeholders in the Russia-Ukraine war should participate in any peace talks, including the European Union. China, with the European side, will inject a new vitality into China-EU relations to provide more certainty and stability in a turbulent world. So you see how China is doing what America used to be able to do. So America can't do that anymore because they have tore their draws. Everybody see their slip showing. Everybody sees that America is never going to do what they promised. They're always going to break their promises. They're always looking for something for nothing. And then you have to deal with the military and the secret coups and all the other stuff, the propaganda and um, inciting violence and just all the backdoor ways, the psyops that you have to deal with when you deal with these Western nations. So um, China is attempting to come in and be the stability for the European Union. Um, I don't know how that's going to work, but we shall see. A ministry spokesman said in a response to a question on the significance of ties with Europe as transatlantic relations faced uncertainty after U.S. President Donald Trump took office last month. China will serve as a stabilizing factor in the multipolar system and will firmly act as a constructive force in a changing world. So, notice they keep on telling you the world is changing. That means y'all ain't number one no more. Your realm of influence is diminished and nobody wants you. So it's like you got to take this constellation prize, which is us. You got to work with us. We don't have to work with you now. We don't need you. You need us. Trump's sudden move toward wanting to broker a peace deal with the Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the nearly 3-year war in Ukraine blindsided European allies and gave China, which has also offered to facilitate peace talks, an in with the European Union. Wang's speech represented a volte-face for China's ties with the European Union, with the world's second and third largest economies having spent most of 2024 exchanging barbs over allegations of overcapacity, illegal subsidies, and dumping in each other's markets. However, China's close ties with Russia will likely rein in any dramatic improvement in ties with Europe. In Wang's meeting with Kaja Kallas in Munich, the EU's foreign policy chief said China's export of dual-use goods has helped fuel the Ukraine war, a charge that Beijing has denied. Europe has nowhere else to go. Ooh, cut. Jay got cut so deep. As Europe is not at the table, said Alicia Garcia Herrero, senior fellow at Bruegel, an influential EU affairs think tank. Quote, the tone from EU head Ursula von der Leyen has softened. I think it's more about Ukraine at this juncture, as trade cases are still being opened. But China is not retaliating, as they are still on a charm offensive, she added. So basically, everybody sees the writing on the wall. The white nations don't have any place else to go. And they're destroying their own stuff, not just their stuff, but trying to destroy everybody else and going off and trying to colonize new places or recolonize the old places that they colonized before. But this time it's going to be a digital colonization as well as a physical colonization, which is horrible. But thankfully, people are waking up. I don't know how successful all of this is going to be, but they're definitely going to have some success because people are going to be desperate. People are not preparing. People don't really understand what is happening. And you have to worry about the propaganda. We all are being propagandized with social media, news, and so on and so forth. So a lot of stuff is not getting out, and therefore people are going to get caught up. But it looks like, for the most part, most people are waking up, and it is a beautiful thing. That's all I got. All right, y'all. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified when I upload new content. Follow me on Odyssey, Rumble, on Instagram, and on Facebook. The links are in the description. And y'all keep prepping, because with all this transition, it just means that a collapse is even closer than we might think. And I think that these nations are finalizing ties and alliances and rules for engagement during war before the physical part of the war actually starts. So make sure you are doing what you need to do, because once this thing starts, it's not gonna um, is I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be televised, but it's just gonna be difficult for us to get stuff. And don't forget that the tariffs are getting ready to kick in. So a lot of products that you may not even really realize come from overseas may increase in price greatly. Like Trump is talking about 100% tariff on some products for some nations. So you're looking at either the corporations are going to pass the cost on to us, or we're just going to not have certain things. And so, as these nations shift the power dynamics, we need to make sure that we are preparing ourselves and our households for what's to come. We're trying to make it to the sword and endure to the end. That's the goal. All right, y'all. This is Marla K. Love y'all, and I'm out.